Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic Live. I'm your host, Neil Johnson. Excited to be with you and excited to share the news with you. And, folks, I watched an interview yesterday. I watched the full length of the Brett Baer interview with the Doge team. And what I saw was absolutely wild, folks. It was wild. The level of fraud, waste, and abuse in our federal government, it's almost tough to comprehend. It's really tough to put into words. But the other thing that I found so interesting about that interview, and I'll share clips of it with you, and we'll walk through this together. But I found that the entire Doge team, typically we see Elon Musk's face a lot, but the entire Doge team is so. I just don't even understand what the hatred to these people is, other than the fact that people's grift is ending. Because I really saw people who I felt these are people who are just trying to do a good job, who have actually given up in other areas of their lives to do this job. So anyhow, do me a favor, smash that like if you would. Do chat in with where you're from, folks, and we'll get this stream rolling. But yeah, I just this is going to be a fun one for me. I just had to pull some of this stuff out of here, so I simplify my screen just a little. Really quickly, though, do want to mention my sponsor, Birch Gold. Okay, I want to show you guys something because you guys, I follow silver, I follow gold prices, because this is something that I've purchased for a while now. So there's this resistance zone. You see this with stocks as well. Okay, so there was a resistance zone that it broke out of, then the $34 to $35 resistance zone, and it's just now broken out of that. But folks, I mean, they're with tariff wars and recession fears, stubborn inflation. Gold has been making all-time highs, and silver now as well. So these are precious metals that you can get from the folks at Birch Gold. To learn how to own physical gold in a tax-sheltered account, you can text Lumberjack to 989898. Again, that's text Lumberjack to 989898, and they're going to send you a free, no obligation information kit so you can get some more knowledge on gold, silver, precious metals, and investing in those and utilizing them as a tax sheltered IRA. They do sell individual coins there as well, but that tax sheltered IRA, I have some of my investment funds in gold and silver. You've got to diversify. I'm not a financial advisor, but every financial advisor will tell you that. So they have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Multiple 5-star ratings. So go check them out at Birch Gold. You can go to birchgold.com/lumberjack. But to get that free info kit, you just text Lumberjack to 989898. All right, let's get on to the Doge report here. So this happened on Fox News with Brett Baer. Again, I'm not the biggest Fox News fan, but they do get the big interviews. So and we can comment on them. So here we go.
To all the guys here about the specifics, but for you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the
That's funny because $1 billion, there's nothing casual about $1 billion, folks, but they treat it like it is.
The simple survey that was literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000, was the government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey, do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
Okay, so folks, I don't know if you've ever used SurveyMonkey. I mean, I used to work in marketing sales. SurveyMonkey is a commonly used thing. It's already pre-built. It doesn't cost a lot, and they spent $1 billion. $1 billion, almost $1 billion, not quite. It was like 890 million. This is insane. This is insane. This is your government in action with your tax dollars. It gets better.
Finding the money. I mean, it's big numbers, right?
Yeah, like Elon said, the minimum is often $1 billion. So, for example, the $830 million, which was the online survey.
Okay, 830 million, almost $1 billion. But he's saying that oftentimes the minimum that they're finding that's really creating, like, oh, let's look at this, $1 billion a crack.
That's an enormous amount of money that wouldn't have been found if the Doge team wasn't working with it, in that case, the Department of Interior. But then taking it one step further, Doge then publishes these things on our website for maximum transparency. So now the general public, it would have been impossible for the general public to have seen that. Now anyone can just log into doge.gov anytime and see these payments. As they're not yet in real time, they're close, but they'll probably be in real time within the next few weeks.
But the process, it still involves Congress, right? At some level?
We try to.
Okay, so this gets really good. I want you to pay close attention to this answer that Elon gives, because we keep hearing about the separation of powers, and what about Congress? What about Congress? What about Congress? Well, Congress is actually supposed to, provide oversight. They are not supposed to approve fraudulent payments. Okay, I mean, to think that that's what Congress should do would be absolutely absurd. Yet these are the obtuse, obscure, disingenuous arguments we're hearing from the left, and they've really got, folks. This is why, if you look at these Bernie rallies, and you look at even the Kamala rallies before, and you look at the protests out there, they're either the college students who are paid, or they're old folks. They're people from the baby boomer generation, and they've been so warped by the mainstream media, because that's still what they watch. That and I know some of you are boomers, okay, so please don't take this wrong. All I'm saying is that there's still a large percentage of that population that watches that and is still getting duped by this. So this is amazing, the work they're doing.
Congress as informed as possible, but the law does say that money needs to be spent correctly. It should not be spent fraudulently or wastefully. It's not contrary to Congress to avoid waste and fraud. It is consistent with the law and consistent with Congress. And we've seen actually great support, at least from the Republican side of the House, and occasionally some Democrats too.
Okay, so I had that set up as a break. So occasionally some Democrats, folks, are like, oh yeah, you're trying to get rid of waste. This, again, should be a bipartisan issue. So one of the fear tactics that the left is using right now is they're going after Social Security. They're going after Medicare. No, folks, they're going after the fraud. And you're going to find out more about this as this interview goes on, so stick with this. But they're going after the fraud in those payments. They're not going after, you can't have your Medicare or you can't have your Social Security anymore. That's not it. They're trying to deliver better service. This is wild. Just the media narrative has so destroyed this, and Elon's got his Teslas are being keyed. He is being attacked. The firebombing of the Tesla repair center. They're trying to tank his stock. All of it. What he's gone through to do this is just wild.
You're one of several billionaires here, co-founder of Airbnb, and you wanted to help out.
I bumped into Anthony and Elon probably back in February, and they told me something about a mine that was dealt with retirement, and they said they needed somebody to help out to fix retirement in the government. I love the challenge, so I jumped on board, and it turns out there is actually a mine in Pennsylvania that houses every paper document for the retirement process in the government. Now picture this. This giant cave has 22,000 filing cabinets, stacked 10 high to house 400 million pieces of paper. It's a process that started in the 1950s and largely hasn't changed in the last 70 years. And so as you dug into it, we found retirement cases that had so much paper, they had to fit it on a shipping pallet. So the process takes many months, and we're going to make it just many days.
Will it be digitized, or how?
Absolutely. So this will be an online digital process that will take just a few days at most. And I really think, it's an injustice to civil servants who are subjected to these processes that are older than the age of half the people watching your show tonight. So we really believe that the government can have an Apple Store-like experience, beautifully designed, great user experience, modern systems.
Because right now it's by hand.
Yes, the retirement process is all by paper, literally with people carrying paper in manila envelopes into this gigantic mine.
So
This is like from an old movie, folks. I just curious in the chat, how many of you were completely shocked when you found out that the government retirement system was stored in a salt mine and people are using manila envelopes, and it takes all this time for them to retire, and they can only process so many per month. How many of you were shocked to find this out? Yes or no?
Can't retire more than a certain number every month.
Yes.
About 8,000 a month.
That's how the reason we discovered it was we were saying, like, well, let's encourage voluntary retirement. They said, well, the most they could do is 8,000 a month. And even under normal circumstances, it can take 6 to 9 months just to have your retirement paperwork processed. And they often get the calculations wrong. So we're like, well, why would it take so long to retire? And they're like, well, because of the mine. And we're like, what do you mean a mine? What's a mine got to do with retiring? And that's where we discovered that all the retirement stuff is still done by paper in a process that looks identical to what occurred in the 1950s. Like, if you took a snapshot of the mine when it first started in the 50s to today, it looks the same.
It's amazing. So how long do you think it'll take to turn over?
We're working as fast as we can. Probably next couple of months we'll have this overhauled. And, I really think, again, like, why are we subjecting our...
This is wild, folks. And this is the speed of change with which people who work outside of the government expect. This is a massive overhaul. And he's like, I think we can have it wrapped up in a couple months. That would never happen if Doge was not in there. Do you all understand that? I mean, never would this happen if Doge wasn't in there. They'll talk about it, but it never happens.
Federal workers to processes that they actually have to go through a training just to retire from the government. There's a whole training program that people have to go through in order to retire. I think we can do better for them.
Okay, seriously, folks. A training to retire. To retire. You need to go through training to retire. Have you, like, I thought retirement was when you didn't need any more training, right? I mean, that's when you, like, can forget all that training crap that these companies or the government is putting you through. Freaking unreal.
700 different IT systems today at NIH.
700 different IT systems.
IT software systems.
They
can't speak to each other.
So they don't talk to one another.
They have 27 different CIOs. And so when you think about making great medical discoveries, you have to connect the data.
Time out. You said 27 different chief information officers?
Look at Brett's face. Oh, hold on.
Correct.
And most of them are non-technical.
So there's a lot there.
There's a lot of...
But did you see Brett's face? I mean, he's totally shocked. It's like he's stunned. You have 27 different CIOs. This is in one branch.
Opportunity. It will make science better, not worse.
And when I say that our job is tech support, I really mean it.
Yeah.
We have to fix the computers. If the computers can't talk to each other, you can't get research done. If the computers can't stay online, people won't receive their Social Security. So what we have here are a bunch of failing computer systems that are preventing people from receiving their benefits, that are preventing people from preventing research from happening, that are extremely vulnerable to fraud, and we're fixing it.
Okay, so I mean, again, you hear this stuff and you're like, the computers don't talk to each other. We got a salt mine, and we store these documents. Like it's like watching the like a Captain America movie where they're running around with manila folders under the ground, storing all this stuff. I mean, I suppose they probably have some reel-to-reel tapes too. I mean, this is absurd. What? They've never kept up. They've never kept up. They have never kept up.
Anthony Armstrong, Doge, Office of Personnel Management, Morgan Stanley banker, M&A guy.
Yeah.
Money, and this is a lot of money sloshing around.
There's a lot of money sloshing around. There's a lot of money sloshing out the door. And if you look at the federal government and the way the workforce works, it's really a one-way ratchet over decades. So
it's only going up.
It's only going up. You never take it away. So that leaves you with duplicative functions, it leaves you with overstaffing, and it leaves you with functions in the wrong places. So a couple of examples. Duplicative functions. Brad mentioned 27 CIOs. If you kept going with Brad, he would talk about the communications office. I think you've got 40 distinct communications offices in HHS, right? Yeah.
40?
Look at his face again. Look at this. Brett's just like, what? 40? 40? Yeah, 40, Brett. 40 communications offices. You're like, couldn't there just be one? Maybe two. Here's another thing. Okay, I got to go off on a rant here just a little bit. My friend Brian posted this morning. CanCon, many of you know him. Out in California, they're paying people to care for their parents. Okay. I think it involves like Medicare, Medicaid, and then some California's money. It combines it together, and they pay people to take care of their parents. Okay, I took care of my parents when they died. Actually did hospice care for them. My dad was in my home. My mom, I had moved her back up, and she was at a home close by, and I just went over and spent my time with her and cooked her meals and whatnot. No one needed to pay me to take care of my mom. Okay, it's my mom, right? It's my dad. I mean, you don't. This is crazy. But then the worst of it is, though, they do the same thing in Minnesota. And Jen, you know what? It's on billboards. So not only do they spend the money, they spend money to spend more money. Do you get me? So they're marketing. They're marketing the money that they're trying to give away, they say, but it's not giving away, because what it is, it's redistribution, because they're taking from person over here to give to person over here. Okay. It's just dumb. So that's their communications offices are oftentimes working on marketing campaigns to learn how to grow the government program and give away more of the money. It's nuts.
Yeah, and that's not unusual, by the way. Multiple offices like that.
It's also not making anyone healthy.
This is not about the employees there. There's many hardworking, well-meaning people who took these jobs. These jobs were out there. They applied for them. They took them. They're doing what's there. It's just that they're duplicating the effort of 40 offices. So you've got that. You've got overstaffing. A good example of overstaffing would be the IRS has got 1,400 people who are dedicated to provisioning laptops and cell phones. So if you join the IRS, you get a laptop and a cell phone, you're provisioned. So if each of those IRS officers or employees provisioned 2 employees per day, you could provision the entire IRS in a little more than a month. So 12 times a year, you can
make any sense. Why would you have 1,400 people whose only job it is to give out a laptop and a phone?
Okay, so I want you to think just briefly about what he said there, because he's talking about, look, these are people, they sign up for a job. They come in to do a job. They're decent people. Honestly, I think it's not just that these are bad people who come into the federal government. There's some of that. But I think the federal government is wrecking people. What do you guys think on this? I mean, I have this theory now after listening to this. You've got people who come in and they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this job, right? We've got this job to do. They don't realize that there's 40 departments doing the same stupid stuff. So they come in and then the government wrecks them. And then you got these people leaving the federal workforce all upset, okay? Because they have been wrecked by the government. They have expected they're entitled now to their job, and their job isn't doing anything good. And they've been taught to not work well by the government. So instead they've wrecked people. What do you guys think of this theory? I think that there's plenty of good people who probably go into government work, and then the government wrecks them, turns them into Democrat voters in perpetuity by creating a victim status, a victim mentality. What do you guys, am I right or wrong on this? I mean, anyways, on to more. I have like a black screen in between this stuff, and this one seems to be a little longer.
Government. Time out. One bank account.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. A couple weeks ago, it had $800 billion in it, but it's the Treasury General account. So
what they're saying here is all payments are made out of one bank account. One bank account. It's a big account. It was $800 billion in it last week, he's explaining. This is the guy, working with Doge at the Treasury. Do me a favor, smash that like if you would. Let's get over 1,000 people on this stream. Drop a quick comment. Just help get that chat rate up and the likes, and we'll see over 1,000 people on, no problem.
When you hear, some of my colleagues here, what they're talking about in terms of the fraud, you have to ask, well, why is this allowed to happen at a financial level? Well, it's actually quite simple but alarming. The Treasury, up until now, and thanks to President Trump, we're fixing this. In fact, there was an executive order that he just signed the other day, which is protecting America's bank account, because it really is the taxpayers' money. One, we're changing the culture. The culture is been not a lot of caring and not a lot of commitment to doing what's right relative to financial operations. There's a $500 billion of fraud every year. There's hundreds of billion dollars of improper payments, and we can't pass an audit. The consolidated financial report is produced by Treasury, and we cannot pass it on. We have material weaknesses. What that means is that if I was a public company CFO, I would effectively be removed. I couldn't file financial statements. I couldn't issue securities, which of course we depend on. Can't pass an audit.
Right. The federal government cannot pass an audit. It's impossible. In fact, in order to pass an audit, you need the information necessary to pass an audit. You need to have the payment codes, you need to have the payment explanation, and you need to have a person you can contact to understand why that payment was made. None of those things were mandatory until just recently, just a few weeks ago. In fact, maybe last week?
Yeah, we're serving 580 plus agencies. And up until very recently,
So, folks, did you get this? They couldn't pass an audit. They would be in jail. If you ran a public company like this, you would be in jail. And yet here they are in our government. It's the leadership in these agencies that are the problem.
effectively, they could say make the payment and Treasury just sent it out as fast as possible. No verification. And so what we're doing is what any household would do. But imagine you're a household, you have a bank account, everyone has an ATM card connected to that account, everyone has a checkbook connected to that account. It's not just your children, it's not just your parents, it's your in-laws, it's your extended family, and they all can go to the account and disperse funds. No questions asked, no justification, no verification.
This is absolutely nuts, people. I mean, you've got to be.
Is the battle?
I mean, are you getting this? I mean, like, just anybody go make payments? Just wait, it gets crazier though. There's a couple wild stories coming up here. Smash that like if you would, please.
Between government of decades of buildup and business, which you guys are, is that like a train hitting each other? I mean, it seems like it's pretty disruptive.
Well, this is a revolution, and I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future. But are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely. You know, one of the things I learned at PayPal was who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation? The fraudsters.
Folks, who complains the loudest? Elon nailed it. It's the fraudsters. It's like a tell. So when you see these people going on the mainstream media outlets screaming and wailing and crying about how, Doge is doing this or Doge is doing that, you have now identified the very people perpetuating the fraud. Okay? That's the tell. That's the tell right there. Okay, and they're projectocrats. Remember this. I've said this before. My friend George coined the term, but it's projectocrats because they're projecting onto you what they actually are. It's always how it works. It's the plank in the eye. It's everything there. So when somebody is screaming loudly about you're the problem, like let's just say, they might very well be the problem. When they're screaming that Doge is the problem, they might very well be the problem, and so on. It's the plank in the eye. Projection. Sorry.
There are in the federal government around 4.6 million credit cards for around 2.3 to 2.4 million employees. But so far the teams have worked together and they've reduced it from 4.6 million to 4.3 million.
Okay, so did you guys catch that? So 4.6 million credit cards for 2.6 million employees, and they've reduced this. So but not by huge numbers. What was that? 300,000 or 400,000 credit cards. But they're at least getting there. It's government's taking so much time.
So
we're taking it easy. But clearly there should not be more. There should not be more credit cards than there are people.
Clearly, there should not be more credit cards than there are people, folks.
People are inspired, right? Especially on the retirement process.
So it kind of goes without saying. Again, you keep seeing it flash up, but I'll mention it again really quick. Get your free info kit on gold by texting the word lumberjack to number 989898. No obligation, just useful information. Birch Gold. All right.
Processors I can speak to. They've been trying to modernize and get off of paper since the early 2000s, very unsuccessfully. Every attempt has gone over budget and been canceled because it hasn't been successful. And so, I showed up and I feel like I'm here because it's an interesting problem. We can use design to solve it and good engineering and really create a better experience for everybody.
We're talking about elementary financial controls that are necessary for any company to function. So, like, if the federal government if a commercial company operated the way the federal government does, then it would be immediately go bankrupt. It would be delisted. The officers would be arrested. And the changes we're putting in place.
You guys get this? It'd be delisted. Officers would be arrested. You can't do this. Yet this is how our government runs. This is nuts.
Will enable the federal government to pass an audit. It will enable taxpayers to know where the money is going and know that their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent well.
Okay. So again, this is, jail.
For example, there were over $300 million of Small Business Administration loans.
Okay, now listen to this. It gets wild. This was the origin story of the thumbnail you were looking at. But the Small Business Administration, listen to these loan numbers.
That has been given out to people under the age of 11.
Well, actually, to add to it, it's $300 million under the age of 11 and over $300 million to over the age of 120.
Okay, so folks, $300 million in SBA, that's Small Business Administration loans given out to children under 11 years of age. And then another $300 million given out to people over 120 years of age. I mean, it's just like the oldest person in the U.S. is 114.
Definitely.
Small business loans.
Correct.
Yes. The oldest American is 114. So it's safe to say if their age is 115 or above, they're fake. Or they should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And we should not be giving out loans to babies. So the youngest recipient of a Small Business Administration loan is a 9-month-old, which is a very, very precocious baby we're talking about here. So obviously it was just fraudulent. And they do terrible things. They actually will see that a kid's been born. They will steal that kid's social security number and then take out a loan and leave that kid with a bad credit rating. There was literally a baby. The terrible things are being done is what we're saying.
And how
we're stopping these terrible things.
And you can stop it? I mean,
we are stopping it.
The reason this is happening is because
folks, this is crazy. So, again, you're hearing a narrative pushed in the mainstream media about how bad Elon is, how it's an oligarchy, and they're just trying to control it. No, they're simply trying to audit the government so that the payments aren't fraudulent. Okay? America is dead if this continues. You guys all get that, right? I mean, there's no way that the country can go on. It's completely unsustainable to keep spending money at this rate with no accountability. So somebody can go buy a yacht. And I'm not even talking about Zelensky. I'm talking about people here in the US, but let's go to Zelensky too, since we're on it. Fraudulent payments being made. We can't do it. And so, Elon's like, there are terrible things being done here and we're stopping it. They're stopping it, folks. They should not. People should be buying more Teslas, not less. If they're going to buy an electric vehicle, it's the most made in America vehicle. And then you got the guy who's actually trying to fix the problems in the government. I mean, I may have my issues with Elon in certain areas, but my gosh, the guy's doing the Lord's work here.
Systems are not talking to each other.
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
And so you don't know at the Small Business Administration that you're giving a loan to a 9-month-old, which happened in one case, because you're not cross-referencing that with the Social Security Administration data that has birth dates. So that very, very simple fix eliminates tremendous fraud. And that there are multiple systems across the government where the systems are not speaking with one another. And if you just solve that simple problem, you would solve a huge amount of fraud.
A huge amount of fraud. Just that, folks. Just getting the computers to talk to one another. That's it. That's it. Just get the computers to talk to one another, and you would solve that.
At some of the legal efforts and some of the judges that have weighed in. There's about 8 or 10 now of these cases that are at least temporary holds. They're being challenged by the DOJ.
Right.
Are you surprised by that pushback?
Well, it's the D.C. Circuit is notorious for having a very far-left bias. And when you look at the people close to some of these judges, where are they working? Oh, they're working at these NGOs. Oh, they're the ones getting this money. Does that seem like a system that lacks corruption? It sounds like corruption to me.
Folks, that was such a big call out by Elon Musk because we're seeing this. And I know Judge Boasberg's kind of getting the bulk of the headlines lately because of the whole, let's turn the terrorist planes around. And of course, his daughter is a lawyer working at a firm or working for an NGO that defends these people, that she makes all her money. The NGO makes all its money off of this. And then the other judges with their wives on the board of these NGOs and so on, they're all on the take. So how are we? Our judicial system is broken. So we've gone through a process here of learning about just what is broken in this country over the last 4 years. And so again, I say this, and I know it was so hard because I used to get so ticked off when people were like, "Oh, well, Neil, it had to be this way." Fine, I'll give it to you. It did have to be this way because we would not have found out the levels of corruption, and Trump wouldn't have been quite as based as he is right now. Trump's second term is so much better than his first. Would you all agree with that? Yes or no in the chat? I'm curious. I loved his first term. 2019 was one of the best years financially. I mean, it was just fantastic. If you were Main Street small business, it was beautiful in 2019. And then, we got Joe Biden after that, and it wasn't so hot, folks. It was not so hot. Anyways, yeah, see, you're all agreeing. Yeah, it's much better this time around, just watching this all take place.
Do you guys all see this as a patriotic duty? I mean, is that really what this is about?
It's essential.
Very much
I
so.
do, 100%. I was running 5 businesses in Houston, and I left that. I left great people to do this, and my wonderful wife said, "Go for it," and here I am. But I feel like this is me giving back to the country.
If we don't do this, we're sunk. The ship, unless this exercise is successful, the ship of America will sink. That's why we're doing it.
Folks, I still wanted to share this with you because I think as you watch this, there was more to the interview. I cut out what I felt were the highlights. You can go watch the whole interview if you want to, and it would make sense to watch it a second time. But we're at a point where you look at somebody like Tyler there at the end talking about he was running 5 businesses. They don't need to do this, but they do. And here's why, folks. So they don't need to do it because they've got plenty of success, right? But if America sinks, how much success do they actually have? What happens long term? And so they're seeing that long term picture. So many people are thinking about this just in short term. Oh, what about my 95-year-old mother and her Social Security check? People, if we don't solve the fraud, mom doesn't get Social Security. No one's getting the money they paid in. What are we, 33, 34 trillion in the hole? Why do you think silver is going up so much? Again, that broke through that resistance stage. I was talking about this earlier in the show, but $32, $33 resistance zone, it sat there for a long time. Now it's breaking through the 30. So my logo's right there, but it passes up over the $34 to $35 resistance zone. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but this is something I've always believed in precious metals, and I think you absolutely need them as a tool in your tool chest. But again, Birch Gold is my sponsor. They've been at this for a long time. You can get your free info kit on gold by texting the word lumberjack to the number 989898. No obligation, just useful information. And you can convert IRA or 401k dollars into tax sheltered, into gold, physical gold and silver, and have that be tax sheltered, folks. So go check it out, or you can go to birchgold.com/lumberjack. But go get your free info kit on gold. And thanks so much for listening, folks. And go check out MyPillow too. I mean, Mike Lindell's running just amazing deals over there. MyPillow.com/lumberjack. And then my way of ordering is always calling the 800 number at 1-800-568-2865. Again, that's 1-800-568-2865. The Giza sheets and percale sheets, you will never find a better deal on them than they are right now. $29.98 for queen, $34.98 for king on the percales. Okay. Huge savings on the Giza. Best sheets ever. Okay. Donald Trump's favorite product. We'll see you folks on the next episode. Just if you haven't hit the like button, do so on the way out. If you're new, please do subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace out, folks.